Today is an EL assignment that we are going to spend some time getting caught up and preparing for the next section of our EL module, which has to do with research and writing. And so one of the things that we know that we have been doing is our guided questions are: why are the world's freshwater sources threatened? And we've been doing a lot of research on that. The second part is: how do people convince others to take action to contribute to a better world? And that is what you are going to be doing for the writing section of this module. You are going to convince others that they need to take some action to make this world a better place when it comes to water. And so to do that, we are going to write an opinion piece. And if you remember, we did write an opinion piece when we were writing about our feelings about Peter Pan and whether we recommended or did not recommend Peter Pan. And so we had an opinion writing checklist. Now this one says characteristics of my book review. You don't have this inside your EL book, but I am going to go through some of the ideas and we're going to talk about what happens in opinion writing. So, so ignore this little section here, and you don't have this page again in your workbook, so just follow along with me and we'll talk about some of the things we're going to make sure we include. And the reason I'm giving you this now, even though you're not writing today, is I want you to think about how important the research you do this week will be to writing next week. All right, so the first thing it says: my opinion is supported by the reasons and evidence from the texts and shows a clear understanding of the topic. So you basically need to make sure that you have really good evidence for what it is that you are going to be writing about, because you're going to be trying to persuade somebody of something. So you have to have good evidence behind it. You're going to state your opinion clearly, and your writing is going to stay very focused. You're going to have a little introduction. It's not going to be a whole paragraph this time because we're going to shorten your writing. I list reasons for my opinion. You're going to need to have definite. Let's make sure this is nice and clear here. Sorry. You need to make sure that your reasons for your opinion are, valid, and so that's the research you're going to be doing. I give evidence to support my opinion, and so you are going to be looking for that this week. I use linking words. Obviously, I have a conclusion. You're going to have a wrap-it-up sentence at the end, and we've been talking about sources all the way through. My words and sentences follow the rules of writing: spelling, capitalization, punctuation, and the words and sentences I use are appropriate for this task and purpose. So those scientific words that we're going to be using, the words about demand and access and pollution, are all going to come in for this task and purpose. So that is your writing checklist. Now, so keeping that in mind, we have a model essay. Now, this essay is 5 paragraphs long. Yours is not going to be this long. Normally we would have you write the 5-paragraph essay in class, but for this purpose at this time, we're going to have it much shorter, probably more about 2 good paragraphs. So let's look at what they wrote, and then we're going to look over how this information was gathered into a note catcher to be able to write about it. So model opinion essay. So you're going to look at page 73. If you need to pause me so that you can find it, that would be great. All right, so here we go. So clean, safe water for everyone. You're going to read with your eyes as I'm reading along. Did you know that an average person in North America uses 550 liters of water every day? But in other parts of the world, people use only 140, 70, or even as little as 10 liters of water a day. Millions of people do not have access to enough fresh water. We must act now to make sure that everyone has the water they need. Access to water affects people around the world, and luckily, this is one problem we can solve. Access to water affects people worldwide. Water is not spread out evenly on Earth. Some parts of our planet have a lot of water, and some parts do not. This is because of things like differences in rainfall. So people living in these parts of the world do not have access to enough water. Farmers do not have enough water to grow their crops, so food has become scarce. Many people can get water in their homes from a tap, but 1 billion people have to walk at least 15 minutes to get their fresh water for the day. Then they have to walk home carrying heavy jugs of water for themselves and their families. They do this each day just to have enough water for drinking, cooking, and cleaning. Unfortunately, some families don't even have enough water for those simple needs. For others, the water they are able to collect is dirty and will make themselves and their families sick. This problem must be solved because water is the most basic need for all people on Earth. Luckily, this is a problem we can do something about. You can be part of the solution. For example, you can help organizations that work to make water more accessible. Organizations like Ryan's Well Foundation raise money to build wells in parts of the world where people don't have enough water. You can help organizations like this one by raising money, or you can volunteer to help teach others their message. The more people know about this problem, the more they can help to conserve and protect water so that everyone has enough. Raising money and making people aware of the problem can make a big difference. The best news is that if we try, we can help more people get the water they need. Won't you join us in working to make sure that everyone has access to clean and safe water? Okay, so they took all the information, and this one's access to water. So we know we have 3 challenges about water: access, demand, and pollution. So this one is based on access to water. Now, here's all this great information, and you know that we don't just ask you to go ahead and just write something without having some sort of organizational way to gather your information. So you have note catchers, and on your note catchers, you have some information that can definitely help you to write your piece. So I would like you to look at page 22 in your workbook. So flip back to page 22. And you're going to see it says Research Note Catcher Access to Water. And you have written some information in here. And if you do not have all of the information in which I'm going to talk about, then you, after we are done with this video, need to go back and make sure that you will look at the pictures that are at the bottom of the assignment, and that you make sure that all of these things are filled out on all of your 3 note catchers so that you are ready for tomorrow. Because tomorrow we're going to do the research that goes in the action spot. And you need to have these other parts filled out, so all you're working on is that one last box. So in the issue, what's the issue for this one? Well, water isn't distributed across the world equally, so some people and places have a lot, but others don't. Some of the fresh water people have access to isn't clean. So they might have fresh water, but it's not clean. How does this affect people? What's the impact? Well, it affects us by requiring almost 16% of the people on Earth to walk more than 15 minutes to get to the nearest water supply. And the time it takes to get that water is time they don't have to do anything else during the day, including going to school. And if the water's not clean, it spreads diseases and makes people sick, and then they have to take care of their families. So then you have this spot empty. That's going to be later this week. Call to action. Why is it important to solve this problem? Well, it's important because people have to spend a lot of time collecting water and others don't have enough, and this is a basic need for people to be able to have water. And that so many people around the world are getting sick from that water. And then you had some sources. We got this information from pages 20-21 of One Well, and we also the article Access to Fresh Water that's also in your workbook. And you are going to be doing some research, and you can be adding some information about your sources, about where you're going to get this information here. So now I'd like you to turn to page 27. On page 27, you are going to have some information here. The first one is the issue. The population is growing, so we need more water, and people are using more water today than they ever have before. So, and as people move into an area, it puts stress on that local water. The impact, why does this affect people? Well, towns and cities grow to accommodate all these people, which use a lot more land. And the more people means that more facilities have to be built and more buildings need to be built, and then that water that normally would just run into the aquifers and so forth ends up getting spread to other places. The action, that's what you're going to be researching this week. Call to action. Why is it important to solve this problem? Well, it's really important because by 2025, experts predicted that 1 out of every 4 people will live in a country that's short of water. That's a problem. That's only 5 years from now. And by 2050, 4 billion people might be living without enough clean water. And that's not, that seems like it's really far away, but you're going to be an adult and maybe even have a family by then, and that might affect you. Here are our sources. We got this from pages 22-23 out of One Well, and we also got that from our population growth article that is also in our EL book. So if you don't have this filled out, to all those ideas, you're going to want to do that after the video. And the last page I'd like you to look at is page 34. On page 34, you have the note catcher that has to do with water pollution. Okay, so this one's easy. What's our issue? Well, the water is becoming polluted. Our impact. What's the impact? Well, by if it's polluted, then it's making less clean, fresh water available, and it's causing sicknesses. 80% of all the sicknesses in the world are caused by unsafe water. So that's a large percentage. Action, we actually do have one in this because we got it from our source. So you probably have one, but you're going to still add more to this one by reducing the amount of pollution that gets into the water. You're going to find out ways to make that even more specific. And call to action, why is pollution a problem? Well, otherwise, if we don't fix this problem, we're going to end up with no clean water, and it will all be polluted and everybody will get sick. It's a basic need that everybody has to have water to be able to live. Where did we get this information? Well, we got it from page 24 and 25 of One Well, and we also, this week you're going to get more information from some of the videos and texts that we are providing for you. You're going to come up with some more areas in here. All right, so please go to through your workbook. Make sure all of those pages are adequately filled out. There's pictures of what I just showed you at the bottom of your assignment. So your job is to make sure that your 3 note catchers are completely filled out except for the action section, because that will be your research for the rest of the week. And so look for tomorrow's assignment. That will help you start doing that. All right, my friends, good luck.